Welcome to Creative Moves, Left Career, Right Path, the podcast where I'm in conversation with someone who made their mark in their chosen profession before stepping away from that world to pursue something entirely different. My name's Kabir, and today I'm talking to Karen Smith, formerly a senior member of staff at leading TV post-production facility The Farm. She now works at an inner-city secondary school in London. Karen, it's great to see you again. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kabir.
The format is really loose. If you can just talk through from when you left school to being at the farm, and then the change and how you got into what you're doing now.
All right, so let's see. I finished my A-levels in the dark ages of 1992, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe graphic design, but I hadn't applied to university. I just inherently wasn't ready to go to uni.
Right.
So
Were you in London?
I was in London. I was born and bred Northwest London, and a lot of my friends were like a couple of years older than me, and they were already working. So I kind of thought I probably wanted to go into work. And so I kind of told my mum, I'm going to stay at home for maybe 6 months, do a bit of travelling, rah. And I sat on my arse for sort of 2 months, and she said, no, this isn't working. You'll go and get a job.
Right.
So two of my friends, who you know, Alex and Joel, they worked at a place called Telecine, which was the kind of premier post house of its day. It was next door to Channel 4, do you remember, on Charlotte Street? So they said, come and be a runner. It's really good fun. You get paid and you basically run around Soho, dropping tapes off, and then you get drunk at night. I was like, this is brilliant. I'm in. So I had an interview and I got the job. And that was basically what it was. And I loved it. It was so much fun. I was just vibing with other sort of 18-year-olds. Everyone that worked there seemed to be young and fun. They were making TV shows. It was like this world. I didn't understand it. It was brilliant. And it was the day of tapes. So we did literally take tapes around Soho. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And
well, they were on Charlotte Street, right? So did they have more than one site?
No, they had Telecine, and then across the road was this place called Cell. There was the high end, and they had Henry's and stuff that I didn't understand.
Yeah, I remember. For commercials, they did mostly,
And then we had Channel 4 next door before that moved. So, it was kind of exciting because we were outside Soho, but then would walk down and drop tapes off at Wiseman and all these other places that don't exist now. And it was great fun. And in fact, did you know that I was on The Word?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Channel 4 phoned up one day. They phoned up to reception. They said, have you got anyone that will do anything? And they were like, we'll put you through to Karen. Right. And this producer came through and said, would you like to come on The Word? And I was like, maybe. Why? She said, you have to have a hypnotic breast enlargement. So I was like, looked at my chest and thought, yeah, I'm in. And but can I bring my friends? So a pile of us went on The Word, and I had a hypnotic breast enlargement, which did not work. I do need to
know what that is.
We basically lay down, and this weird perverted man kind of hypnotized us.
Right.
And the idea was that our breasts would grow, and mine didn't. So, yeah, it was the mid-90s, Kabir.
I do need to clarify, though, they would actually grow, or in your head you imagine.
No, they were supposed to grow. He was supposed to, be able...
Oh, my God. I need to look for this on YouTube.
Oh, I've got it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, please.
Yeah, it was Katie Puckrick.
Right.
Yeah. It's really bad.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was just... It was mid-90s. We did mad stuff like that, right?
That's very true.
So I think I was a runner for about 6 months. And then I got promoted to bookings, which, for those of you that don't know, is kind of dealing with the clients, booking in their jobs. And at the time, it wasn't really editing. It was just tape copies.
Right.
So I did that.
Did you, at that point, feel like you wanted to, that was the route you wanted to go down? And were you still just going, look, I've been offered that role, I'm going to take it and see what I want to do later?
I think by that point, I was like, I'm not going to uni. This is great. This is the life for me. I love this. This is fun.
But project management / bookings is what you wanted to do. You didn't want to do editing or sound.
I definitely didn't want to do editing. I wasn't clever enough.
Right.
Didn't understand numbers, so that wasn't going to work. Also, the thought of being in an edit suite or a sound studio for up to 16 hours a day, not my vibe. Yeah, and I like people. I like people. I like talking to people. I like listening to people. I like making people happy. So that was it, and I was good at it. So I did that, and I think I was there in total. I was at Telecine for about 3 years.
Right.
We had a client who worked for Warner Brothers because they were one of my clients, and he kind of poached me to go and work at Warner Home Video. I joined the home video department, which I also really loved because we worked for the marketing department. Technicolor held our library of stuff, and one of my main roles was to get old stuff recertificated by the BBFC and get the new stuff certificated. So that was quite interesting because I got to watch all the movies first. Then the person that had kind of poached me to go there went to work for Digital Theatre Systems, which was, as you know, Dolby's main competitor. Yeah. And he, again, kind of took me with him, which yourself is a thing, isn't it, in TV and post-production?
Yeah, totally.
It's a kind of a thing. You go with the people, that you like and trust.
Yeah.
And he said, come and do this. And so I did. And,
where were they based?
Twyford, which is this tiny village just outside Reading.
Right. Oh my God, so you've gone from Soho to somewhere else.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
I literally had to walk down a country lane to get to work. Bonkers.
What time did you start work?
I don't know, whenever I got there.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, 9, 10, was
it a horrible early start?
No, not really. No, not really, not at all. This is just it was an office job.
Right.
But completely honestly, did not particularly enjoy working there. They were nice people, but I was young, in my 20s. It was very film. So I'd gone from TV, post-production, which was a joy, and party time, but working hard, all of that, into film, video via Warner Brothers. And then this was proper film. And my job was fairly responsible. I have no idea why they gave me this job. I didn't know what I was doing. But I would have to go to meetings, and I would be sometimes the only woman, always the youngest person in the room. And, it was the 90s. So it was a very different landscape for women and for young women.
And what was your job title?
What was I? I was post-production something for Europe. So basically I would manage the creation of all the discs in the foreign languages that would then be distributed to go to the theatres around Italy, Spain, etc. Again, very organised, not technical, bit dull, if I'm honest. But I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'd get the train from Paddington. And this one morning, I was really hungover. And I sort of legged it up the stairs from the Bakerloo line. And I saw my train going out into the distance. I was like, oh God, I've done it. I'm going to be late. Went over, stood underneath the displays, looking at them for about 5 minutes, and everything went blank. The whole station, everything just went blank. And everyone's standing in Paddington, in rush hours, what's going on? Fuck. And it was the morning of the Ladbroke Grove, the Paddington rail crash. And that was my train.
That was your train?
That was my train. I missed my train. Yeah. So I very quickly decided I wanted to work back in London. Yeah. Wow. I was like, nah, this is not,
I do actually remember that, Karen. I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. I remember getting a coach. I don't know what... I went to work that day. I got some coach that took 3 hours to get to Reading. Why did I do that? So I then decided I wanted to get back into TV and I wanted to get back into Soho. So I was like, how do I do this? Anyway, cut to Dave Pollard.
Yeah.
Lovely man. Used to work for him at Telecine. I went to one of those... I can't even remember what it was called. It was one of those junket things. It was at Olympia where we all just go. There was
the TV show.
The TV show. I was at the TV show. I was at the bar with Dave. His phone goes. He's like, yeah, I've got the woman for you. I didn't realise at the time, but the person who'd rung him was Nicky Sargent.
Right.
So amazing Nikki who co-founder of the farm. So the farm, Nikki and Vicky. And they were looking for a post-production person. And he said, look, I'm with someone now. She's been doing this. She wants to get back in. So cut to, went and had an interview there. And then ended up staying there for nigh on 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I mean, they were the top of their game, right?
They were top of the game at the time. It was the place to work.
That amazing building on Soho Square.
Beautiful building. Yeah. I think we had the shed then as well, which was the extra offline bit on Dean Street. We didn't have anything else at the time. Beautiful building. I mean, it was just, we worked really hard. We played really hard. It was incredible to go from this kind of stuffy, filmy place of men in suits that didn't really fit them, and on an industrial estate in Reading, back into like right in the centre of it in Soho Square.
I mean, amazing.
And these two women who, I mean, I just love them, who are just so inspiring. Yeah. And
incredible,
incredible women, tough women, not always the easiest women in the world to work for, but as human beings, like second to none, like amazing. So I started there just like as a post producer, and kind of worked my way up. And by the end of that, the farm had progressed into this huge thing. So there was Uncle, there was Newman Street, there was the shed, the shed was gone then, Soho Square had gone, but LA, Bristol, Manchester.
William,
lovely William. And it was huge. It was enormous. And the last kind of 5 years that I was there, I was sort of it was a weird job title, Group Operations Manager. So I had this role which was quite niche in that I was a post-production person, so I knew how to look after the clients and budget and all of that. But I was also, even though I couldn't press the buttons, I kind of understood how it worked, and I dealt a lot with the engineers. So I ended up in this sort of liminal space, if you like, where I dealt a lot with the technical guys and the bookings people, and kind of brought that together,
right? And
would kind of try and make that work, because they're very different. And I ended up with 54 reports. I basically looked after, with another girl, Helen, we managed all of the edit assistants.
Right.
So I had 54, mostly quite young people reporting to me, and all the stuff that entails. And that's what I did for the last 5 years. And it was weird because by the end of it, I had stopped enjoying it. I'd really, really stopped enjoying it by the end for lots of reasons, which I'm happy to go into if you want me to. But the thing that I loved, the thing that I realised that I really loved, was working with the young people.
Okay, that's interesting.
Was kind of mentoring them and helping them to decide, should I stay? Should I do this? How can I be better at what I do? And I found that really, really rewarding. And that, I think, was the beginning of me thinking, okay, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't really want to be here anymore. What am I good at? Okay, I'm good with young people. And I find that rewarding. And that's how I kind of came to what I'm doing now.
Right. And so just out of interest as well, were you also doing client entertaining when you were in that role? So was that...
No.
You weren't doing stuff in the evenings?
By that point, no.
Right.
We had, Mark Winter.
Yeah.
Mark was our...
He's still there.
He's still there.
Amazing, yeah.
He's still rocking and rolling. And he was phenomenal at that. And also, I was... I had two teenage, coming up to teenage children by that point. I wasn't partying anymore. Yeah. So I would do client things when I had to, but for the most part, I was going in, doing my job, going home. That kind of that social aspect had very much gone for me.
So then let's talk about how you made the change into what you're doing now, because I'm presuming you must have studied, because you didn't go to uni when you left school. So
so there's a gap there, isn't there? So left school with A-levels, had always had this thing at the back of my head that I wanted to do an English degree. Always loved books. My sister's a teacher. I grew up eating books, going to theatre, loving all of that stuff. And that never really left me. And so how long had I been there? When I'd been at the farm for about 6 or 7 years, I applied to Birkbeck, which is University of London, and it's the specific bit that is there for older people. So you study at night. And I applied to do a BA in English literature, and I did that. It took 4 years.
Right. Did you have to do a foundation course or?
No.
Right.
No. Some people, I can't even remember the application process that well, but sometimes they would make you do a foundation, but I didn't. I
guess you had A-level, so
I had an English A-level, yeah. But it was a 4-year degree because it should have been 3 years full-time. Right. So during term time, I would leave work and go up to Senate House and do lectures twice a week for like 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then study at the weekends. And
then study at the weekends, do all my essays, do all my stuff. For 4 years. That's bonkers. So I did that, and then
and with teenage kids.
No kids by this point.
Oh right. Okay.
So no kids, doing that, working hard at the farm, and then I graduated. And around the time that I graduated, I met I got together. I already knew him because he was a client, but I got together with my partner, who you know really well. Yeah. And when I graduated, I had it at the back of my head, maybe I'll do a PGCE and go into teaching. It was there, it was kind of there. And I was thinking about it maybe a little bit seriously at one point.
What does PGCE stand for?
So it's Postgraduate Certificate of Education.
Right.
So that's what you do if you already have a degree, say in history or English or whatever, and you want to teach one of those subjects. You go back to university and you do that for a year.
Right.
And that's your teaching qualification, essentially. Right. So I had that at the back of my head, and then I got pregnant. So I fell pregnant with Daisy, my eldest, and I was like, nah, can't do that now. Gone.
Yeah.
And then that just kind of went, and I didn't really think about it again for a really, really long time. Cut forward to that time I'm at the farm. I've been operations manager for 5 years. Some things were happening in the background. So I knew that Nikki and Vicky had stepped back. Nikki and Vicky had stepped significantly back from the business. And I didn't get on very well with the then management team.
Right.
There were some conflicts there. And also I knew that they were going through a sale thing with a big American company. So I knew that was coming. And I thought, well, if I'm going to go, I kind of need to do it now. Because I had an inkling that I was at that level that when the Americans did come in, I'd probably be one of the first people to go.
Right.
Plus, I wasn't enjoying it as much without Nikki and Vicky's day-to-day input. And I felt like there were some decisions that were being made that I didn't agree with. So I spoke to my other half and I said, look, what if I left? What if I left and did this teaching thing? And he was like, yeah, go for it. So it was kind of a 2-year process of like, right, I'm going to do this. Then I started looking into it because there's so many different ways to get into teaching. So many. Like you can teach on the job. You can do a PGCE. You can just do something called qualified teaching status. There's so many ways. But I knew that I wanted to go the university route. So I went to lots of open evenings, I'm very exacting. I like to do things. I write lists. I'm very organised. So I did it that way. And I applied to UCL, the Institute of Education, and I got accepted. And then I handed in my notice. I had a 6-month notice period, which was...
What?
Yeah.
And they made you work it? Or you wanted to work it, I guess?
Wanted to work it.
Because it fitted in with your timings.
Yeah, because it fitted. And you know, they'd been really good to me. I'd been there for a really long time. Yeah. It was also really terrifying to leave, actually, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I didn't mind doing that. I mean, I grew up in that place, you know. I joined there in my early my early to mid-20s, and I left in my mid-40s. So I really did grow up there, and both of my children were born there and grew up there. My daughter's done work experience there.
Right.
So, yeah, and I miss the people. I do miss, we've stayed in touch. There's a handful of people that I really, really love and that I've stayed in touch with. So, yeah, it was scary. So I had this plan. I had this master plan, right? I was going to leave in December 2019. I was going to have a while of a time till September 2020.
Oh, my God. Right.
So I was like, it's all planned out. I'm going to swim. I'm going to chill.
Swim?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm obsessed with swimming. So I'm going to swim. I'm just going to have a lovely time. I'm just going to be, yummy mummy. It's going to be brilliant. So I left in December. Fine. Had a lovely month in January, but albeit it was cold and wet. And then, of course, it's mid-February and we get locked down. After COVID and before I started my PGCE, I qualified as an open water lifeguard, and now I'm also qualified as a pool lifeguard.
Right.
So when I'm not doing my job as a teacher, which is pretty hardcore, I'm either at Hampstead Ladies Pond or the Lido lifeguarding.
Right.
So that's my little side hustle.
Right. I want to ask you about that because that's, to me, is how long is each slot that you do?
What do you mean?
When you're sitting there being a lifeguard.
Oh, right. So you do a shift.
Yeah.
So I worked at the Ladies Pond yesterday. So you do a 7.5 hour shift. And
all in one go?
Yeah, but we rotate. So I might be sitting, staring, scanning the water for half an hour. Then you have a break.
Oh, that's the bit I'm interested in. So it's only half an hour at a time.
Yeah, so you rotate. You would never be scanning the water for more than an hour. And then you have a break. And also, you're not just staring, especially when you're at the pond, you have to swim test people. You're constantly telling people to do the right thing. It's like 5 meters deep and dark.
What does swim test mean?
So when we get children turn up or people that aren't the best swimmers in the world, we don't just let them get in and swim off because they might drown. So we test them. We get them to swim a little bit to check that that they're okay, that they're not going to drown, which is while we're there to preserve life. Yeah.
I guess there's a big community there because I can imagine the people that go are regulars. I don't think it's something that somebody would just
it's not for everyone.
Out of, especially in the winter.
And I do it all year as well.
So how was that then when COVID was in lockdown? So you've obviously, this is a love of your life, what you plan to do for 9 months.
That was hard. Although when lockdowns kind of came and went, the pool and the ponds kind of stayed open more than other places. So there were times when they had to be completely closed, but then they would, because they're outdoors, there were sort of times where they could be open when other places weren't. So it wasn't awful. There was a point, do you remember the second lockdown? So we had the lockdown.
That was just before, was that in the summer?
No, I think it was the 4th of January, because by that time I'd started my training. So I'd been in a school from September to December, dodging COVID, trying to learn how to be a teacher, God knows how, in weird bubbles, standing at the front of a classroom in a box that had been taped up where you weren't allowed to go near the children. They weren't allowed to go near you. You're wearing a mask in a classroom.
In a box?
Yeah, so during COVID, when schools were open, when they reopened, schools had to make a box, certain meter, like a couple of meters square at the front of the classroom. They had to put danger tape down, and the teacher had to remain in the box, and the children all sitting.
So it wasn't like a structure. It was
just a pretend, like a metaphorical box that you had to stand in. So I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't been in school for 20 odd years. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to learn how to teach.
So the PGCE is basically on the job training.
Yeah. So you do some bits of uni, theoretical stuff, but most of it you are in classrooms trying to learn to teach.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm doing that, and then I managed to dodge it, COVID as well. So I then did my second, because in a PGCE you do 2 placements. You train in 2 different schools, and they're normally quite different. So one might be a girls' school, one might be a faith school, one might be a really rough, comprehensive, one might be a kind of a posh girls' school. So they give you like a breadth of experience. So I then did my second placement. I did from February to April, my second placement at my kitchen table in front of a laptop. The kids are upstairs in their bedrooms doing their homeschooling. He's upstairs editing, and I'm teaching to a blank screen because none of the kids are there. They just switch it on and then they go and play their PlayStations.
Oh, so they're not on camera?
No, they don't bother. And I didn't know what I was doing. And so I did like 2 months of my second training at my fucking kitchen table, like properly
teaching no one,
talking
basically.
to no one,
apart from yourself, learning. You were learning.
Talking to myself, pajamas from the waist down, really smart from the waist up, like completely losing my mind. And then I did get back into school, and then I qualified. I did it. I was the teacher, which was insane. So I then
what
had to
age
get a job.
were the schools that you were?
Secondary.
Your PGCE?
So when you do a PGCE, you have to decide: am I going to teach small people,
right,
or am I going to teach big people?
Right.
And I don't actually like small children very much.
Right.
Like if you'd given me my kids when they were 5, that would have been cool by me. I'm not an earth mother.
Right.
I found the really tiny stuff difficult.
Right.
It was tricky. I like them now. They do their own thing. They're funny.
Right.
We hang out. Anyway, so no, I'm not going to teach primary school children.
I've been into a classroom twice actually with primary school children, both times for half a day, and I was absolutely exhausted, and I felt my brain was going to implode. The noise and it's crazy. Yeah.
So when I leave work, quite often there's a gym at the end of my road that I've joined. Very bougie, very expensive, but I don't have any vices anymore, so it's like it's my thing. Quite often I'll leave work and I just go and lie in the spa. I just have to be in a dark room because it's so overstimulating. Like, I thought live television was tough. It's got nothing on being in the largest secondary school in Camden.
That's where you work?
Yeah, so it's inner city. It's tough. It's really challenging. I can teach up to you can teach up to 150 kids a day in the classroom, and then there's all the other stuff on top. So sometimes I just have to lie in a dark room. I mean, I used to think that getting VTs off to, for comic relief or something like that to a tight deadline was hard, but it's got nothing. Live television's got nothing on
I can imagine that. How many kids are in a class on average?
So around about 25.
Right.
Some classes more, but yeah.
So you're basically doing 6 lessons a day?
5 lessons a day.
Right.
Although I've recently been promoted, so I'm not. I don't just classroom teach now. I teach English and media,
right,
which is hilarious. They asked me to teach media because they were like, a thing or two about that. Teaching media is not the same as working in it at all, but it is quite fun as well.
How do you come up with the lesson plans?
So you have a curriculum,
right?
So you have a curriculum. So, for example, A-level media. You learn about newspapers, you learn about radio, you learn about TV, you learn about film, and now I can't remember what my brain's gone, music video.
Right.
So for A-level media, you study like a couple of music videos. One of them is a Taylor Swift one, for example, and you look at the intertextuality of it and you do it all through a theoretical lens. And I was like, who are these theorists? Like, I just made telly. I didn't study it. What does this mean? And then you're looking at things from like a feminist perspective or a queer perspective. Okay. Yeah, it's really it is super, super interesting.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean, still don't know what I'm doing.
Have you taught anything? Have you ever taught something that you've been involved in producing?
No, not directly, but I do bring in the stuff that I've done. So we do a whole thing on regulation. So we teach them what regulation is and censorship. Right. So whenever I teach them what the BBFC is, I always tell them about natural born killers. Yeah. Or when I did the censor cuts on Goldeneye. So
by the regulation, that's also compliance, right?
Yeah,
same thing.
Regulation, compliance.
Right.
And so I'm lucky because I have that unique perspective of industry experience. I can bring that into my lessons, which is great and really good fun.
So what's the split like between English and media? How much of...
So English is a core subject. Right. So every student has to do English all the way up, and they get taught 7 hours across 2 weeks.
Right.
Same with maths, same with science.
So what I meant was more from your time perspective. So in a week, how much time are you teaching English and how much time are you
I'm doing way less media.
Right.
Because it's not a core subject, it's just an exam subject. So I would do maybe 3 hours a week, whereas English would be my bread and butter. But I've just been promoted to head of year.
Right.
So next year I will be teaching about 50% less, because the rest of the time I will be effectively mummy when they're at school to 150 year 7 children.
Right.
Looking after them and all of their pastoral needs.
Which year 7 is how old?
Year 7 are the ones when they start. So they're 11 rising 12. They're the little ones.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's so I've been doing that this year in a kind of an acting role, and that's been brilliant. And again, that's more of I think I realised quite early on that although I love teaching, I think it's the pastoral stuff that I love. It's the what's wrong? Why are you behaving in that way? How can I help you? What can we do to support you? It's that side of things that I find really interesting, and it can also be very distressing as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there are a lot of challenging circumstances that come up, and so that's basically effectively what you were doing with your edit assistants.
Well,
when you were working at the farm,
in a way, and it's really. I think it didn't really click till much later that when I left, like a couple of people said to me, God, don't you miss? Like when we came in here today and I said to you, Soho's unrecognisable, and there were gorgeous people on reception who asked me if I wanted tea and coffee.
Yeah.
Like, I'm used to just being shouted at or, having chairs thrown at me. And it's not like working in the school system is so different to this. And then people say to me, well, what do you miss about working in TV? And I'm like, do you know what? I miss the people. And I miss that kind of the customer service stuff because, who wouldn't? But what do I love about what I do now is the fact that I'm really, really helping people. Yeah. Like, it's just every day you make a difference. And sometimes it's tiny. It's nothing. It feels really insignificant. But I don't feel like what I was doing before was significant.
Sure.
I got to the point where it was like, I really don't care about your TV shows. I really don't care about your naked dating program. I really don't care about your program where you're going to dress people up as dinosaurs. And
is that actually a thing?
Yeah, that was yeah. That was one of the things that tipped me over the edge. I'm not really enjoying working in TV anymore. Yeah. It's really not. Like, I'm just not vibing it anymore. And part of the thing was I had to go to a lot of meetings to sort of go, right, this is your budget. Okay, we can work with that, all of that stuff. But then what it was all about like, right, so you know how in post-production facilities, all the storage, all the data is stored on like a big thing called an ISIS or a Nexus. God, it's probably something way more funky than that these days. But
a server, basically.
It's a server, massive server. And they were like, our program is so secret, it can't get out into the public domain. Everybody that works in your place, from the cleaners to the MDs, have to sign these NDAs. I'm like, oh my God, if you make someone sign an NDA, they think it's interesting. Don't get people to sign NDAs. No one gives a shit. So they were doing that. And then they were like, and it has to be on this separate server. And I'm just sitting there and I'm dying a little bit more every day.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, I was right, because the first person that came out in the dinosaur costume, first episode, was not Leonardo DiCaprio. It was Bianca from EastEnders. I resigned shortly after that. It was, fair enough. For me, it had become like this. There was so much self-importance from clients and from producers, and I don't know whether I'd gotten to an age, whether I was perimenopausal and I just didn't give a fuck anymore. But it was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I need to go and do something important for what's left of my career.
And obviously that's, you're enjoying that and you've taken on this more responsibility that's ahead of year. Did that happen straight away or was it intimidating when you first started?
Oh my God, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's so scary. Like my first year, so when you teach, the first term is the worst. So from September to December, it's dark, it's cold. You go to work in the dark, you get home in the dark. It's 8 weeks long. Like, it's brutal. The first term, I went home every night and cried. I said to my partner, I've made a terrible mistake. Why have I done this? I can't do this. Like, the kids were eating me alive.
Right.
They were literally, because they can smell fear.
Yeah.
Children can smell fear, especially in my school.
Yeah.
And it was hard.
They're street smart, right? It's an inner-city school, right? So
yeah. And they're like, who is this woman that's just appeared from nowhere? But somebody said to me, look, by the end of the year, the ones that you're most scared of, that you dislike the most, that dislike you, they'll be your favourite students. That was mostly true.
Right.
Because what happens with kids, like the kids that I work with, they don't trust adults. There's a bit of that.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they treat you appallingly to begin with. And then you have a half term and they're like, oh, she came back. And then you do another bit of the term and then you go on holiday again. And then they're like, oh, she's still here. So by the end of the year, they're like, she's all right.
Right.
She's still coming back. And so by the end of the first year, I'd stopped crying mostly. And
wow.
Yeah. And now, in September, I will be going into my 5th year in this school. And I can honestly say that like the last 3 years have just been amazing. Like, right. I wish I'd done this 15 years ago. I love it. It's exhausting. Right. It's hard. It's really rewarding. It's really challenging. It can be really upsetting. But it's the thing that I was meant to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. It's really good to hear. The each year though, when the first year come in, start the first cohort, their first year, do you have to go through that same process with them?
Yeah,
because they don't know you, right? They're at a new school.
They don't know you, and usually the little ones, they're terrified. They're as scared. I mean, I'm not scared now. Yeah. I go into September, I'm ready. Yeah. I know what I'm doing now. But those new year 7s, they're terrified. They've left primary school, and they're coming into this huge place, and everybody's enormous, and they are enormous. Like, our year 11 boys, I mean, they're huge. They're men, you know. So at first they're fine. It's as they get older and they start to change and the hormones kick in, and it's a mixed school, so there's like girl stuff and boy stuff. Yeah. And, you know, they're liking each other, they're not liking each other. Each year has different challenges. So the year 7s are, I've forgotten my pencil case, and I'm crying because I don't want to do PE, whereas the year 10s can be, they're fighting, they've got awful things going on at home. You know, it's very different. Every year is different because as they grow, they have different challenges. Because I learn from the students every day. You see huge acts of kindness that they don't even know are kind. Wow. And just, it's also the teachers, the other teachers, because in the way that one of the reasons I left television was because it's a bit of a young person's game, and I felt a little bit like the granny in the corner. It's different in teaching because I am valued for my life skills in the classroom and in the school. There are teachers who've only taught, they've never worked in industry. So their knowledge of that is phenomenal. But equally, I bring something different to the table. Yeah. And also the young teachers as well. I love being in a department I'm learning every day from 26-year-olds who are twice as experienced as me at teaching, and they're teaching me, and then you get their unique perspective on life, which is generationally different.
What's the policy like with mobile phones?
Also, we've just got rid of mobile phones. So mobile phones are disgusting and terrible and should be banned from all children as far as I'm concerned, and me. Like, I wanted to kill myself last night because I found myself scrolling for an hour for no apparent reason because there was nothing else to do. We have just invested in these things called Yonder pouches, which are these big squidgy pouches with locks at the top. So now our children in our school, and lots of schools have started to do this now, they have to turn their phone off when they come in, they put it in the pouch, they lock the pouch goes at the bottom of their bag, and they unlock it with a magnet as they leave school.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of data and science out there now that pretty much proves that. So there's a book called The Anxious Generation, which is amazing, and it shows that from 2010, which is roughly when we all had a smartphone, from that point onwards, children, teen, adolescent mental health has nosedived enormously, like ridiculous. And the instances of self-harm in girls, all of that stuff is just exponentially enormous.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Whereas we weren't affected by it. And the millennials, not so much. But my daughter's generation, terribly. Children, with the advent of gaming, and all the consoles and the telephones, kids don't leave the house.
Yeah.
They don't. You have a whole generation of young people that really, the only time they do any sport is the hour that they do a week in PE at school. So they're not being allowed to grow up.
Wow.
In a way. And also what I see is if we fell out with one another, we might have a bit of an argument, but we'd sort it out, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Face to face. And we'd apologise. That's kind of disappearing in quite a frightening way, because children exist in these online spaces. So actually all bets are off, because you can be as mean and as nasty as you like. And kind of get away with it. Like children are not learning how to apologise. They're not learning how to be human.
That's interesting.
And so they're not growing up. It's kind of the opposite. Or they're growing up too fast, because something like 75% of 11-year-old boys and girls have seen hardcore porn on a smartphone before they leave primary school.
It sounds, like from what you're saying, it sounds like you're definitely in the right place and you're where you should be. I think it's really interesting that your journey's taken you here, and it has taken a long time, but actually maybe it had to take that amount of time to happen in the way that it was meant to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, look, I'm really lucky that financially, because of the way that my life is set up, I was able to do it. I'm aware that there are people that I know who are still working in post-production, who are friends and peers of mine, who would maybe like to leave and do something else, but feel like they can't because financially it's not viable. So I was lucky that I could do that. But something that you can do with teaching is, even though I chose to do the role, the route that involves paying essentially a year of tuition, so that was £9,250. I planned my escape, so I was able to save that money. But also, there are other routes. You can go into teaching where you go straight in and you're paid a small salary and you learn completely on the job. So it's not, the route that I chose is not necessarily the route that you have to. But I think doing what I did for so many years has really helped me. I'm resilient, whereas I think a lot of young people coming into teaching get a bit of a shock. I am resilient. I've learned how, I'm used to working long hours. I was taught that in television. I'm quite good with people, all of those things. So all of the stuff that I did before I became a teacher has helped, without a doubt.
So when you say you work long hours now as a teacher, what can you give us an idea of?
So we don't start at 9 and leave at 3.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of guessed that already, but... So
my average day, and this is not normal, by the way, but I get to work at 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
And I always intend to leave by about 4. Usually I'm out the door between 5 and 6. So I need to change that next year.
Why do you get in so early?
Because I wake up really early, and a school is a very busy place by 8 in the morning. So the kids don't actually start officially till 8:30. But by 8 o'clock, there's emails to respond to, etc. if I get in at 6:30, I can kind of do my to-do list, pick up any emails from the night before. It just suits me. I'm an early bird. I just am, you know. But because I'm getting in at 6:30, I really should be leaving by about 4 every day. And that's what I'm not doing so well. I'm not managing.
Right. And do you do your lesson preparation in that time, or does that happen?
Yeah, I tend to get in at 6:30, make a cup of tea, say hello to a couple of people, because believe it or not, there are plenty of other people in at that time. And then I will spend about 45 minutes planning that day's lessons. I'm not teaching 5 lessons a day anymore. I'm only teaching a couple. It's generally something I've already taught. So I'll be taking a lesson that I've already written and taught and adapting it for that day. So I'm not usually like teaching things from scratch.
Right.
Because it's the same curriculum every year and it's the same, years.
And so you've been there for 5 years now.
I will be going into my 5th year, yeah.
Right. What's the retention rate for new teachers? And at what level, at different ages? Because I can imagine you've obviously got people coming in when they're quite young, and presumably other people that have done a career change.
So I can't remember what the exact percentage is, but a huge number leave within the first 5 years.
Right.
So people go into it, realise it's not for them, and stop. Teaching's quite a level playing field. So when you start to teach, the teachers are paid on a pay scale.
Right.
So the main pay scale, which starts at 1, it goes 1 to 6. And then, so on each of those, you get paid a certain amount. And then after 6, you move to the upper pay scale. And then leaders have one of their own. But I knew the day I started my job at the school that I'm at, I knew that the man, who's now a good friend of mine, I know that he started on the same salary as me. Yeah? And that each year we went up by the same amount.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember finding out towards the end of my career in TV that there were some men who weren't doing anything much more than me, if at all. And I seem to be cleaning up a lot of their messes, actually, were getting paid 30 grand a year more than me. Yeah. So that kind of that jobs for the boys thing, I don't miss that. And that is still really the gender pay gap in TV and the creative industries is very much there. It really, really is. And as a woman, when you take a career break for having kids, all of those things. So I'm happy not to be part of that anymore and to be work. I know that I get paid the same amount as that male teacher over there who's doing the same job as me. And that's how it should be.
Do you have Teach First at your school?
Yeah, we do.
Right.
Yeah, which is like incredible, but there's no way I could have done that. That's brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, I only know about that because I worked on a marketing campaign for a similar scheme called Frontline, which for children's social workers. The idea being that they would go in for 2 years and then either stay and move up the career ladder as a social worker, or then leave and go and work elsewhere and be an advocate.
And I didn't realise that till a couple of years ago, that the whole concept of Teach First was that it's graduates, they come straight out of university and they teach first before they go and do something else. And I hadn't realised that. There was a guy who was Teach First, he was a lawyer actually, and he started with me and he only lasted a term. He was like, I can't do this. I'm going back to being a lawyer. And I hold my hat off to Teach First graduates because they're in the classroom from day one. And it's incredible. That's not a route for the faint-hearted. And it wasn't a route for me because I'd been out of the classroom for so long. I had to be eased in. So if you're older and you're considering going into teaching, I would recommend doing a PGCE because you get lots of support. You're in uni for a bit. It's a bit more gentle. Teach First is more a young person's game, I think.
And going back to that, so you said the fees were something like £9,200. Can you get tuition loans for that? So you don't have to pay it straight away?
No. So
but I guess you're not working at the same time, so therefore you need to be able to support yourself.
Yeah. So when I did it, so it was 6 years ago, the PGCE essentially, lots of subjects have bursaries. So the year that I did it, to study English, I got given a £12,000 bursary.
Right.
So tax-free, basically given to you. So every month I got £1,000 in my bank account. And then I was lucky enough that I'd saved up. So I had the tuition money saved. But if I didn't have that, I would have got a loan. Yeah, I would have got a tuition loan that would have paid it. Yeah, which is what most people do.
Yeah.
So it's all manageable. You can do it. But teaching is, I don't know what it was like teaching 30 years ago. I know that it's really, really hard now because of the difficulties. If you're not working in a fluffy independent school, the state system is tough. Yeah. The kids are tough. There's lots of mental health issues. There's a lot of, workload is phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I think what I've learned, or what people keep teaching me and I keep trying to learn, is you can't do everything every day. So what I do now is I just is a child in danger if I don't do this today? Can I do this tomorrow? Is anyone in immediate danger? No. Okay, it's time to go home. I'll pick that up tomorrow. Right. And you just have to prioritise. Yeah. Yeah.
And how big is your school? Just in numbers?
We've got 1,300 children on roll.
Right.
It's massive.
And how many teachers?
I knew you were going to ask me that. There's over 200 staff.
Right.
So probably 50, a bit more % of that is teaching staff. Yeah. I'm in the English department and there's 13 of us.
Right.
So, but we're one of the big departments.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have your own form class as well?
So I did, but now that I'm a head of year, I don't have a form. Yeah. But I look after the form tutors.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in my team. So I support them. Yeah. I miss being a form tutor. That was great.
Right.
Yeah. Because you're like their school mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It's incredible.
It's mad.
I've got 2 questions that we ask everybody.
All right.
The first one is, what's a decision you would have made differently if you could go back in time and change the outcome?
I never went travelling. I wish I'd gone travelling. So now that my daughter is, at first year of university, so many of her friends went interrailing last year.
Right.
They finished their A-levels and they went to all around Europe and just travelled.
Did she?
She didn't actually know. No. I think she might do it after uni, but she wasn't ready. She's young. She's really young in her year.
Right.
So a lot of her friends were a whole year older than her. But yeah, I regret that.
Right.
I wish that I'd just put a bag on my back and just gone around Europe or the States.
And the second question is, tell us about a sliding doors moment in your career that had a profound impact.
Do you know, not one sliding door moment, but a series of, in the last few years of my working life in TV, where I just thought, no, this is what you're doing isn't as important as you think it is. Let's just stop taking ourselves so seriously. There was just a series of, or there was my friend who's an editor, the edit assistant, who was, not the edit assistant, sorry, the edit producer who was in the edit suite with him, who was, 21 or something. They're in a edit and they've been in there for 16 hours and his mum phones to ask him what he wants for dinner that night. And I was just like, no, I'm too old. I need out now. And it was just a series of things like that. Where it's no, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something worthwhile. Right. And that's not to say, that sounds awful, doesn't it? Because there was stuff that I worked on that was really important. If I'm honest, I feel really privileged because I fell into, I've had, and I still have one, I've had 2 amazing careers. And the first one I fell into, I very much literally fell off my sofa, doing nothing, into being a runner, and then ended up, working in film and TV for, over 20 years. And it was brilliant. And I loved it. I loved the early bit much more than the later bit, but enormously privileged and brilliant. But then I got to the point where I think I felt like I knew everything, or I knew everything in what I was doing anyway. And I didn't have the opportunity to move on and do something else. So, but teaching is very different to that. So teaching is probably the most timetabled job in the world, one of. So every day I go into work and I know hour by hour what I'm going to do. And in theory, that's it. But it's not that. It's like you can just be hit with anything at any moment, anything. It can be a serious safeguarding thing to just a kid telling you something that just makes your heart sing. And that's the amazing part of the teaching, is that every single day I'm learning so much from the kids. And that's like that. Just sometimes you can just cry with happiness. Sometimes you can just really cry because you've heard awful things. But it's about learning. And that's what I feel so lucky to do that every day now.
Well, thank you, Karen, for coming in today. It's been really interesting hearing about your creative moves. And I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
Excellent.
It's been weird sitting here on this side, but
yeah, back in your old stomping ground.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been listening to Creative Moves, Left Career, Right Path, a Cabbage and Bubble TV co-production. Host Kabir Malik, producers Pauline Russell and Kabir Malik. Special thanks to Karen Smith. Follow us on Instagram at Creative Moves. Subscribe to Creative Moves on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, or wherever you get your podcasts.